Hello everyone, welcome back to Talking History. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name's Liz and on this channel I do exactly as it's called, I talk all about history. So last week I done a video on Donald III. The week before I done a video on Malcolm III, which I will link those up there or down there. They'll be there somewhere for you to go and find and watch before we watch this one. Watch this one. So it's been one of those mornings. It's just been, anything that could go wrong has gone wrong. So I'm scared to do anything now. But this week we're still in Scotland, and I'm going to do a video on Edgar, the King of Scotland. So if he is someone you are interested in, then please do stay tuned. After King Malcolm's death, Scotland went into chaos, and Edgar became the third to succeed his father when he came to the throne only 4 years later. But Edgar would have a difficult time in keeping his throne. Edgar, who was the fourth son born to King Malcolm III of Scotland and Margaret of Wessex, he was also nephew to Donald III and half-brother to Duncan II. So Edgar was born around 1074, so he would have been around 33 when he came to the throne in 1097. And his epithet was Probus, or the Valiant. And just to confuse things a little bit more, he has sometimes been referred to as Edgar the Peaceable, which has got him mixed up with the Anglo-Saxon king Edgar the Peaceful, who ruled England about 100 years earlier. Now, there's very little known of Edgar's upbringing, and he's not really mentioned until 1093, when he was captured by his uncle Donald and retained in Edinburgh Castle along with his younger brothers Alexander and David. And it was thought that they had been rescued by their maternal uncle Edgar the Eighthling. So Edgar the Eighthling took the younger Edgar and his two brothers back to the court of William Rufus, which was actually quite a risky move, considering the fact that Edgar and his two younger brothers were the sons of Margaret of Wessex, and it was through her that they had a claim to the English throne, much like their uncle Edgar the Eighthling. So it's not really clear as to what Edgar actually got up to over the next few years, but it appeared that he had accompanied his half-brother Duncan to Durham in 1094, where he witnessed a charter that he released there. But it's not clear if he continued on to Scotland or whether he went back to London with back to William's court. So in 1095, William Rufus took Edgar to Northumbria to see off a rebellion. And whilst there, William had Edgar invested as King of Scots, although this was by name only, and gave him the command of Lothian at the southern Scotland. But it appeared that William Rufus didn't quite have the resources to actually support Edgar in becoming king until 1097, when William put Edgar the Eighthling in charge of an army, and he had Edmund expelled from Scotland and Donald captured, and the younger Edgar became king. So sadly, the details of Edgar's reign is a little bit hit and miss. In 1098, there was a powerful king who made an appearance, the King of Norway, Magnus Barelegs. And he had raided through the Western Isles of Scotland and Ireland. So Edgar, who was, I think he was quite keen to make peace, and he wanted to come to terms with Magnus in return for that peace. So Edgar ceded all of the Scottish claims to those islands to Magnus. So Edgar went back to England in 1099, where he carried the sword of state in a ceremony for William Rufus at Westminster Hall. And it was whilst he was away that his uncle Donald had, who had been in prison since 1097, had plotted a rebellion, but Edgar was able to see that rebellion off and had Donald blinded as punishment, where he later died. So William Rufus was killed during a hunting accident in 1100, and his younger brother Henry seized the throne, becoming Henry I. Henry then married Edgar's sister Edith, later becoming Matilda, making the two kings brothers-in-laws. And it's not clear if this had any impact on both Edgar and Scotland at that time, but he didn't appear in England again or face any rebellion in Scotland. And it seems that he didn't really have done much for the next 6 years until 1107, when at the age of around 43, Edgar died in Edinburgh Castle. Although Edgar had took the Scottish throne by force, his military record wasn't really that impressive. He owed his throne of Scotland to the English King William Rufus. The battle to get his throne was fought by his uncle Edgar the Atheling, and then he gave territory away to the Vikings. Although Edgar's reign wasn't for very long, some chroniclers seem to have a pretty decent impression of him. The Chronicle of Melrose described him as valiant. A friend of the family had compared him to his ancestor Edward the Confessor, that he was sweet and lovable, employing irony, no harshness, no greed against his people, but ruling his subject with the greatest charity. So all in all, it seemed that Edgar had made an excess of his reign, and he had restored his father's line back. And as Edgar had no children, he named his brother Alexander as heir. Now, Alexander obviously would become King Alexander I of Scotland, and Alexander would marry one of King Henry's illegitimate daughters. Now, if you would like to see a video on that, well, actually, no, correction, I am going to be doing a video on all of that. So please do subscribe and hit that little notification bell there so you don't miss any of those upcoming videos. But thank you so much for watching. It's only a short little video today because unfortunately there's just not that information that we would I don't know whether you're the same, but I just love digging my teeth into reading. I love it when you find that bit of information that you didn't know. And that's what I love about history, because everything keeps popping up and new things are found every single day. So anyway, I'm going to stop rambling because I could ramble about history for hours. So I'm going to go. Please do look after yourselves, and I'll see you all next week. I told you it's been one of those weird days today. I'm going. Bye.